Hello, hello. Welcome to our next episode of Best Kept Secrets of Sustainability. This time we're going to do a series of episodes. We have a special guest, Richard, who happens to be my cousin.
Hi, everybody.
And and actually, Richard and I, in the entire family of like 500 people, we were the only ones that are very interested in sustainability, and we always end up having a lot of good conversations on it. So we decided it was a great idea to actually share a bit of what we talk randomly and how we explore about it. So, Richard, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. Hello. As my cousin would say. I don't want to steal her thunder, but it's pretty catchy. As Diana was saying, I am her cousin. My name is Richard Alberto Ñañez. I'm also doing a master's on sustainability, and but during my daily activities, my daily job, I work for an oil and gas company. Well, a company that works in the oil and gas industry, Baker Hughes, and I work in a commercial team that sells services to Baker Hughes customers, and I currently cover the Americas region. But as Diana was saying, I'm pretty glad to be here. Thank you for having me, and it is very interesting to share our experiences as master's students in sustainability. And I'm sure that it will be a very rich conversation.
Exactly. Thank you. Like as Richard said, the reason why we decided to start this is because we're both doing a master's in sustainability, and we think we have very interesting and different takes, because he's in sales in oil and gas and I am in design in the fashion industry. So they happen to be the most polluting industries in the world.
Yay!
Yeah, yay! With that, we wanted to start by sharing our experience with our masters and how the perception have changed on the applicability of sustainability. Like to Richard, to you, like how has it changed?
Well, first I would like to begin with why did we decided to do a sustainability master's? At least why did we actually decide to start something in sustainability? At least understand this issue, right? I think that's more important than the applicability. I guess applicability, we can go into that, but I guess applicability is a pretty huge and general subject. It's still not very well defined, the applicability of sustainability, right? For me, I decided to start this master. I always been very, I always had a very sheer interest in the sustainability and the climate change issues. I study international studies, so I am a politologist by training, and I didn't dedicate my life or career to that. I started working for a corporation, and that was it. I was a penniless student, and I took the first job I was offered to, and I'm glad about that. I don't regret that. It's part of life. But working in the oil and gas industry shows you how messy the situation is, and how bad it is being managed, especially by the private sector, right? Because governments, they actually have very little to say about these things. They make agreements, they make big summits, international summits, but then again, who's deciding? And I believe.
Do you think that's equal to saying that it's little on what they can say, because they decide who they make the agreement with? So like the governments are actually I understand that when you're from like Venezuela, you're a struggling country because you just decided to leave the entire, like make the entire country live out of oil. But that's your decision as a government to actually not choose to exploit the other resources. That they can also be like tourism. I'm not saying that you need to go for gold.
I know.
Gold and gas.
Yeah, I mean, I know your point, but I guess first, I mean, we'll have to differentiate. I mean, Venezuela is a failed state. So
yeah, okay, no, of course, and we're not going into politics also because with you I can't discuss about that because I don't even know 1/10 of what you know.
No, I mean, I guess we should focus on the countries we live in, and here these are democracies, and the policy making process is different, and it is well established. It is a process that where the private sector has a possibility to make pressure through lobbyists, and that makes a difference because I mean that will prevent government from taking decisive or assertive actions.
To have the full control of something.
To protect
but that doesn't mean that the government in the first place didn't have the choice on which companies to give the rights to, no?
That's true. I mean, I agree. I mean, governments are not by themselves useless or they don't have any instruments. But what I'm saying is that, and this is something that I've been learning doing this master, and it was my first impression. But through the master, I have been able to also understand why. I mean, what is the situation in those terms, and most of the let's say the heavy lifting, it's left on the hands of the private sector, which I mean it is understandable. I mean we need private and public collaboration to tackle these issues. That's for sure. But the private sector will always try to look for business opportunities. I mean, it will be always driven by profit. And if something is not profitable, but it's still right to do, it will not get done.
Yeah, of course.
The private sector is the one leading all the actions to tackle the issues of sustainability, but more importantly, the whole big picture of climate change and environmental degradation, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, to get back to the point, I mean, I decided to start the master's mainly first because I was given the opportunity by my employer. I mean, they accepted to fund my master's. So I'm doing a master's in sustainability transition management with the Bologna Business School. It's an online master's. It's still a very experimental master's because I mean sustainability
it's still a very experimental thing. So it's a constantly changing. I don't want to call it industry because it's not an industry, but like a segment. It's a segment in constant development.
That's right. Yeah, it is constantly changing. How do we look at it? How do we think of it? But especially, I mean, right now it's becoming trendy. So
yeah,
it is. Now everything is about sustainability. I mean, you hear sustainability here, sustainability over there. Everybody's talking about it, but I mean, what it's actually being done about it, that's a whole different matter. The master's has helped me to understand that we are pretty far away from doing something that is substantially, that could amount to a big change.
Yeah.
Right now, as in terms of business, because this is a business master, so it is not an environmental master. I mean, it's not Greenpeace isn't doing this master. I mean, it's a master that is done by a business school that has a purpose. So giving people opportunity to advance in their careers, and that's one of the things that made me do it too. I mean, like I want a new career perspective. I want to change career. I would like to get into the sustainability issues for companies in the private sector, but also in the public sector. and I thought, I mean, that's one of all, that's not only the knowing better the sustainability issue and understanding that subject, but also from a career perspective, I wanted to get into a master's in sustainability because I think it will help me advance my career, and change, and probably even change sector, which will be great. I mean, I know that the oil and gas sector provides millions of jobs around the world, but that cannot be the justification for the oil and gas sector to keep doing what it's doing.
Yeah, for all the damaging they're causing. Well, as fashion, did you know that fashion, actually one person every 8, they are employed directly or indirectly in the fashion industry.
Yeah,
which is massive, and that's why we need that's why we need a massive change in the industry, because 1/8 of the working population around the world works with fashion. And and you realize, I like, as you did when you started working, I realized as well regarding fashion when I started working on how damaging the industry is. I personally decided to study fashion because, as I think anyone young that wants to study fashion is just like, oh, I like how it looks, you know, it looks like a very alluring life, and everything is aesthetic. And
you watched the Devils Wear Prada too much.
Yeah, Richard, I remember that.
Before getting into the business,
I don't know if you remember, but when I decided to study fashion, he said, wow, this is the most expensive course you will ever pay for becoming a seamstress. He always makes fun of me.
I make fun of it. I mean, I make fun.
He makes fun of everyone. He makes fun of everyone,
especially myself. I mean, I always.
But I always remember that. And so like I got in the fashion industry because I liked it. But then when I got to work, my first job was at Oscar de la Renta, and it was okay. I mean, it was all made in Italy. It was much slower as fashion. But then I went to Alexander Wang, and it was all produced in China, and things were massive. We were discarding 40% of the handbags and footwear coming from the factories because they had defects. But defects like a mini scratch on the handle, nearby the seam, in the back part, and you're like, and
you
don't even see it.
Away. Yeah.
You don't even see it, and you're discarding it. So hundreds of thousands of animals were killed because they were all in leather for doing that.
Plus, I mean, sorry to interrupt you, but you also studied your own brand, and I guess, I mean, that helped you take a closer look at how the whole industry works. I mean, suppliers,
definitely,
supply chain,
definitely,
how much waste do you make?
Yeah, well. And it made me also understand how I can create less waste, for example, because one of the biggest environmental impacts from the fashion industry is waste accumulation. So definitely, while having my own brand, where decisions were made by me and where I could understand how to make things better, to also, because at the beginning, it wasn't necessarily a matter of not creating waste. It was also a matter of, I need to save as much as I can. So when budget is a constraint, it's when you are obliged to think more critically on what's important and what's not. And it allows you to be more creative, to look for solutions without necessarily spending money like crazily. Because when you work for brands that are so big, sometimes for them, you know, writing down a check of 100K, it's like, yeah, sure, I mean, take it. But it's a lot of money. That's not what happened to me. I didn't have that money.
No, I mean, it's good that you're comparing to those big firms. I mean, like.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm just saying.
You always dream big. So that's what I admire about you.
That's an important thing. You have to
That's an
dream
important
big.
thing. That's an important thing. Yeah.
If not, you can't achieve it.
You didn't get there in terms of your brand, but I mean,
not yet. I'm just 31 years old. I have all my life to do that.
But we could say that probably in terms of much weight you were waste you were producing. Probably you got there. I mean, like, okay, I mean, I'm not making that much money, but I'm making that much waste.
No.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I guess the people that will listen to this will also crack. No, I don't think so. That wasn't funny. But yeah, I mean, like I see your point. I mean, like the fashion industry, it is a very troubling industry, not only because of the environmental issues, but also the social and
yeah. Which is how I got actually into sustainability, because since I was little, to me the most important thing, and it is still today, is society. And I truly believe that if we don't take care of people, no matter what we do in terms of environment, we're never going to progress. Because if we don't educate people, they can't know what to do. And I was reading in this day's report, it was actually for a homework for the masters. And, it was like, the salary from H&M CEO, it wasn't available, but it was available that his bonus is like around $1 million a year. And that the workers in the spinning mill, they earn between $20 to $50 a month. And I was thinking, like, it's so unfair that because somebody studied, which in this case is the CEO, and had good connections, and I mean, there's many reasons why you get to be a CEO, you're earning 1 million times more than the lower worker in the factory. But the thing is that if the lower, like, I do understand that you have to earn more because you study, because you have more responsibilities. That I understand and I agree. But earning 1 million times more and leaving the other one so poorly to themselves, it means that you will never give them the opportunity to actually study. So they will always stay the same way they are instead of progressing. So there's no possibility of having a progression, but instead of actually making a bigger bridge, because the CEO, who most likely invests his money or her money and buys properties and manage to get married, maybe to a wealthy person as well, like they just sum up wealthiness. Whereas the poor people...
depending on the country where you are, I mean, they get a lot of tax breaks as well.
Yeah. And this million was also unfair. This million was only the bonus. Okay, it wasn't the salary.
I get it. I mean, social inequality and especially salary inequality. It's been a big issue in terms of income inequality. Yeah, growing income inequality in the developed world. I see. I mean, not only the fashion industry. I mean, I see that in my industry, but we can see that in every industry. I mean, like top management,
definitely.
CEOs, they make I don't know. You said 1 million, but I mean, let's say even a couple of thousand times more than the least paid in the company is already a huge difference.
Yeah,
I mean,
in fact,
and it creates a lot of, I guess it creates a lot of social frictions, because the bottom will struggle to make ends meet, and while the top 1% of the world, as they are called now, and usually called now, they will never struggle in terms of wealth or in terms of basic needs.
I mean, they could, because Michael Jackson died being poor, but that was very bad money management.
That's a different story. I mean,
no, or like, for example, did you know that basketball players, they tend to lose, like, it's a very big percentage, like 80% of them, they tend to lose their money within 5 years because they don't know how to manage their money. So of course, the wealth can't come just out of wealth. The wealth needs to come as well with education, because if not, even though you have $1 billion, you can lose them in one day. Well, not in one day, but very easily if you don't know how to manage them. But
Sure, yeah, no, man, I agree, I agree. But I mean, like, those are like, I guess, people in I don't know, the movie business, the entertainment business, or sports business. I mean, these are like exceptions because they, I mean, like,
not necessarily they come from a studied background or something like
yeah,
that.
and plus, I mean, they do entertainment. I mean, like, it's basically that, right? I mean, like, they are stars and they make a lot of money in terms of their fame, how famous they are, or how good they are at what they do if you're an athlete. And it is for a very
Short period of time.
and it all depends on how the public perceive those persons,
Yeah.
and their virtues in the sport they do, for example.
Yeah.
For athletes. So it is, I mean, like, you see the Olympians, I mean, they don't make that much money, and they love a sport as well, but it's different because it's not entertainment. I mean, that's real athletics. So it's completely different. And so that's why, I mean, I guess, I mean, it's a different issue than, I mean, the whole income inequality from that is related to companies and the level of wages and the differences between top management, the CEO, and then the bottom of the company, which is huge. Sometimes, I mean, it can be a pretty stark difference, and not only in terms of how much money they make, but also the difficulties that they have to face.
Like education, or like lack of education, like transportation,
buy a house.
Yeah,
I mean,
the factory that is in terrible conditions. Actually, while I read that, I think I told you, but I always like dream, like stipulate on different realities. And what I thought is, it was like, this is crazy, because if the CEO of H&M would say, okay, you know what, half of my bonus, I won't receive it, and you can spread it, you can divide it equally among the factory workers. Let's say that they have 1,000. That would literally duplicate their salary. And if you would communicate that correctly, H&M, like literally using marketing for that, H&M would start selling much more, because brands, consumers would start feeling more attached, like, okay, they're doing something for their employees, even though it's not necessary, because from earning 50 to 100, you're making a huge difference for that person, because it's 100% more, but it's still not enough. That's the truth. Yeah. But you as a CEO could tell the brand, okay, you know what, out of the X much we earned, I want to have a percentage. And most likely that would be, let's say that H&M is making 1 billion a year. Maybe they would do like 30% more, which is a lot. And if he would negotiate, I don't know, 10%, he would get 3 million for a bonus. So actually, while doing good, you can receive much more. And that was me with a utopia in my mind. But there are many case studies that do prove that this is true. Like, for example, Nike, that is this underwear brand in the US. And what they do is that they have a take back program, and they receive used underwear or socks from any brand. So it doesn't need to be Nike's. And when you send them, they send you something in exchange. So I don't know, something like underwear or a bra, or I don't know what they send you, but it's like something from their collection.
A gift card or something like that? No,
it's a physical thing, so you can wear it.
An item. Okay,
exactly.
Good. Okay, cool.
From their collection. And the used items they receive, they send them to recycle to make it's a fabric, it's a material that you use for the floors where babies or elder people walk. So like this cushiony foam floor. Yeah. And with that, they get tax reduction. So for recycling something that would have been waste otherwise, they are saving money in taxes. And that's not even the most interesting part. From the people that participate on the Take Back program, they one fourth of the people, they buy. So by receiving something that you tried it and you liked it, you will become a consumer. And that's 1/4 from the new customers. And from that 25% of the customers, 43%, they buy again. So it's basically out of a good action, you gain 1/8 of your consumers, which is not bad at all. And if every company at the higher level, they would do something like that, I am pretty sure that you would, and you communicated, you would actually gain much more than just being greedy and take it all for yourself. So this is just like a little example on how doing good can make.
It is a very interesting example. I mean, I guess like what we were saying before. I mean, there are ideas in the private sector that could inspire and break the way for change. I mean, like I also I read about PayPal and how PayPal's CEO realized some time ago that, I mean, the bottom of their company, I mean, the bottom employees, they were making near livable wages. I mean, like enough to live, but not enough to actually
save,
live well.
Yeah.
And he decided, I mean, to actually increase those salaries, the bottom line salaries, to increase those, and it actually it paid off in the long run. In the short run, I mean, they had some issues because, as you could imagine, I mean, these things they add to your costs, and then, I mean, it doesn't reflect well in the financial spreadsheet once you're ending quarter by quarter, or your year, once your fiscal year is done. It doesn't reflect well, but in the long run it does, because not only they had increased their profits, their earnings in a year, but they also were providing a better life quality to their employees.
Yeah, and so their employees were actually happier.
And they were committed to the purpose of the company. They will stay longer. So they will lose less employees, and then they have to hire new people and train them, and that's also cost. I mean, to hire new people, train them, to replace people that were doing an excellent job but probably didn't feel appreciated.
Yeah, that's a very difficult thing. Like, for companies, it's a nightmare.
It is a huge cost, actually, for companies. And if you cannot retain your employees, you're losing a lot of money, actually, because you're losing all the money that you invested in those people that are leaving, and then you will have to add cost for the people that you're hiring, and to replace those people and train them. So
which the training, it's not only a PDF, it's also people being after that person. Teach them,
training
how to
them on the job, how to do their jobs, following them, guiding them. So I mean, I guess it is always a matter of understanding that, I mean, it cannot be just profit that needs to drive companies. Should drive companies. There's also there should be a line, and a line should be drawn in terms of, I mean, I don't need to make this much money. I need also people in my company and people in my community to feel part of the mission that the companies want to accomplish, each company on their own, and collaborate, because that's probably the most important, at least to me. I mean, what I see is that our societies have always praised so much competition, but very little collaboration, and collaboration is key to tackle these issues: sustainability, climate change. Not only collaboration in terms of countries collaborating, governments collaborating to each other, and then deciding and agreeing these big agreements, Paris Agreement, which is worthless if they are not committed. If or any other examples. I mean, if we actually emphasize the collaboration within our societies, within our communities, within our private sector, not only in terms of we will be better able to actually mitigate the worst effects of climate change, maybe build a real sustainable and let's say circular economy society, because collaboration is key, and it's something that we see in nature. We humans, I mean, we study. I mean, if you think about Darwinism, it was first evolution and the evolution of a species. I mean, it was seen as a fierce competition between species. Whereas the real fact is that most of all of the animals in the natural world, except for man, are collaborating with nature. They know their role in nature. We as humans, we have forgotten our role within nature, and we're part of nature. And I guess that's a huge, and it seems obvious to say it, but it seems less obvious.
No, it's not.
Reality.
No, it's not at all. It's not at all. We take for granted what we've been given, and that we are part of the ecosystem and not ruling the ecosystem.
That's right. I mean, we are not in a pyramid when it comes to nature, and we have our societies, our civilization is being built upon the belief that we are at the top of that pyramid. Actually,
in a way, we are, because we're the most developed ones. But it's impressive how, being the most developed ones, we are doing the worst things. You know, like we're the most stupid ones at the same time. So there is, of course, a pyramid, because we are much smarter than a worm. For sure.
But as a species, we are lying ourselves when we think about in that way. I mean, like, we are the most evolved species in this planet. And that's why we took it upon ourselves to tame nature, to be the dominant species. When and by doing that, we have forgotten what is our role in this natural world. We are part of it. We don't have to rule it. We don't have to tame it. We need to collaborate with it. We need to find our place in it, not to prevail over it. And I think that's a pretty huge. I mean, that will make such a huge difference. And it sounds hippie. It sounds like,
no, I don't think it sounds hippie. I think it sounds very true. And I would also like to add something, and I think we should wrap it up, not to make it that long and go for the next.
I mean, I'm sorry that we took this long, but I also wanted to ask you what was the thing that made you decide to take the master? Because I think we went over that very little.
Actually, we always do that. We start, but I think that's a Venezuelan thing. We start with, I bought a new chair, and then
I smoke a lot of weed. So I tend to just talk about nonsense and just prolong myself and talk.
Before I answer to your question, I wanted to add something very quickly, which is, I think it's less ephemeral, because what you're saying is 100% true, but to sound less hippie and more like to earth, I think that if we would think better on the society, because we're thinking of like, sustainability within the company. But the thing is that the company is made out of people, and people are part of a society, and the society is part of a country, and a country is part of a continent, and so on, no? So it actually repercutes. It's like the butterfly effect. And if people in the company, they earn well, they can spend more, and the economy moves more. If people in the company are healthy, we go less to the hospitals. So we could pay less taxes, or we could receive our pensions on time, for example. And if people in the company, they're happy, There, as I
Not
always
exactly
say,
all related, but I'm following. Yeah.
no, I mean, what I'm saying is that the repercussion is not only within the company, it's in the country you're living in or in the society you're living in. So if you make the employees of a company happy, wealthier, better studied, everything, it will repercute outside of the company, within your family first, and then so on, no? And as I always love repeating, like, I love this guy, Facundo Cabral, and I always mention him. Yeah. And he would say that happiness is not a right, but it's a must. Because if you're not happy, you break other people's balls. And that's true. So if you are not, it's not, what I'm saying is that it's not just within the company, it's also outside of the company, the way it reflects that an employee is a happy person. Because you're spending one third of your day in the company or more. But yeah,
but I mean, I'd like to just before we close, I mean, I would like to add something to that. I guess, I mean, I agree with you, and I just wanted to add a reflection on this. I think if we, as a society, we agree that people should actually live out of good salaries, that will help them make a good living standard, not only in terms of the quality of life, in terms of what I can purchase as a consumer, but also it will help in terms of keep these people from distracting themselves because they are surviving. So people are kept distracted on survival mode, and because they need to make ends meet, and they are not actually worrying or thinking about, this big issue. Now we have big issues all the time, and we have a pandemic, we have a war, but the climate issue, the climate change issue, it is bigger than all those issues because it puts an existential threat. I mean, also the war. I mean, if it gets nuclear, it puts an existential threat. But climate change for sure puts an existential threat, and most people are
taking it easy.
Let's say, no, not taking it easy. I mean, they are distracted because they need to survive, and they're surviving on low wages that will only keep their attention focused on, I need to pay these to make to get to the end of the month. I need to pay my rent. I need to pay the school for my kids and all that. And at the end of the month, I don't have any money left, and I have to figure out how to survive. So I don't care if the world is ending. I don't care if
your priorities becomes others that are surviving.
Yeah. I don't care if this isn't sustainable, but this is what I can afford. So if people will get better salaries, that will also allow them to focus their attention on new issues, to educate themselves, to invest time in being more active, more engaged, in society. And probably take time to care about these issues, and not only survival.
100%.
Economic survival. I mean, not like jungle survival, but yeah, you got my point, I guess.
Yeah, I got it. So to wrap it up, you asked me a question, which was?
I mean, we didn't go into the details of how did you get into your master's. I mean, what took you to make that decision?
Yeah.
What was the main driver?
Yeah, I'm going to be very brief on that. So I am doing an MBA in sustainable luxury management, and I decided to make it mainly for two reasons. The first one is because having my own company, I realized I am a fashion designer. So my background, aside from, as Richard says, stitching and using some pencils and colors, it's very little. So I have the entrepreneurial vein, but I don't have.
I've never done that.
But I don't have the skills. Not the skills. I don't have the tools, the right tools. So I thought that doing an MBA would help me get the right tools to get my company to the next level, because I felt stuck at a certain point and I didn't know how to move forward. And it's not that I will be able to do everything. I can't do my balance sheet and then the business plan and then the marketing plan and the sales strategy. No, I can't do it all. But I do think it is important that I know a bit of everything for at least hiring the right people. And I chose it in sustainability because I've been working in sustainability since 2015. And it's something that started by society to me. Then it happened to come to the environmental part through upcycling, but I didn't even know it had a name. I just thought I was doing something that it was creative and cool. That's all. And then I realized the amount of waste and like the need for the industry. So I started working in that. And at a certain point, I realized, okay, I know a lot, but I am self-taught. So I would like to have a better learning from more experienced people, and also having more like better ways of getting to know other people with the same interests. That's basically the reason why I do it, why I'm doing it. I would say that with this, we can wrap it up and we can go to the next one.
Okay,
since it's
great.
too long. But thank you very much for everyone.
Thank you for having me. So excited.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard. And see you in the next episode.